My official prediction is Gaethje vs Oliveira. Oh, and by the way, I'm taking Oliveira. The way before this video ends, I might go to Gaethje. I have never because back in high school, I skipped the only class of 4 on the fence and I get it that. I'm wrong all the time. I get it. I'm so bad at even calling the chill a curse. Predicting fights, but I feel it inside. I'm certain that I'm right about the veins. Spits and pops out of my neck. It's kind of how dare you to disagree with me. Here's my argument. Historically, but I can't help but feel it. I do feel it every single time I have to tell you that I have it the best. Foggiest idea. Here's what you don't know. I was going to pick with Oliveira. Here's my hypocrisy, okay. I think this is a stand-up fight, and I also think a stand-up fight favors Justin Gaethje. I'm going with Oliveira. How does that make sense? I worry about Gaethje. In the later rounds, I worry about engaging in the Gaethje who has more heart than John and Nick refers to. Do you want to talk about your heart? Justin Gaethje is referred to by John and Nick as your favorite fighter's favorite fighter, which is correct, as there have only been 2 guys in history who the other athletes looked up to. I looked at him with respect. I wish I could fight like you. The big knock could come from behind the big one. It got hit by a train, and it didn't make a damn. He was coming at you, which made a difference in Justin Gaethje. They're the only 2 guys. That goes into those criteria, and that is why I am bringing it up to you. You can't fit that description that I just laid out of having a heart, having grit, and being. I wish I was this tough, if only you fade. It is the definition in its entirety. The majority of men will reveal that fade. 90 seconds. It doesn't matter if you do it at 90. If you do it in 19 minutes, you'll finish in 19 minutes. You give up, and you don't go. Gaethje 2 guys fight with the most grit and heart in the history of our sport. But I do worry about Justin's lateness. True. I have only seen it off the top of my head. Specifically in the off. Justin Gaethje compete in championship rounds against the best of my head. You don't have to correct me. One time, and it was against Tony Ferguson. I firmly believe nobody was. I was surprised at the performance and the outcome that Gaethje had the night he won the victory over Ferguson. Then Justin Gaethje, that's okay. I think that gives credit to Gaethje. I think when somebody thinks I'm up, I'm against it. I haven't had time. I'm short. I realized I wasn't prepared for this, guys, so great, and walk out there anyway. They deserve credit when they walk out there. And they overcome because they're such a. I believe they are deserving of more credit, so when I say Gaethje surprised himself that night, it's meant to shine the wheels. Justin Gaethje's. And he held up just fine, I fully admit. In rounds 4 and 5, he held up just fine. I felt as though he had faded. His heart was there, and he was thrown, but he just didn't have that energy. That's what I think about Alvarez and Poirier. And I do feel as if the fight goes on longer. It is possible. An issue in a purely stand-up fight. I encourage and beg Gaethje's team. Every time he fights, he gets a takedown. Just one, just go grab a takedown. Do it with 40 seconds left. Nobody very good gets submitted in Ma. Period. Nobody, even the bad guys, gets submitted. With the second man and his guard broad, but it's mostly correct. And nobody gets submitted with only 40 seconds on the ground. Like Royce Gracie himself would tell you, jiu-jitsu was not created in 40 years. In all fairness, I mean in second increments. I'm laying out a pretty solid plan. Go to tackle this guy with a minute left. Keep him down there. I got a couple of deep breaths. Learn to do what Conor McGregor calls manage your energy. I like everything. That's what I'm saying. I just don't believe any part of it. Justin Gaethje is going to go do it. I think he's going to go and trade and think he's going to get hit a lot. Justin Gaethje stands up, contrary to what? How do you feel about Justin Gaethje? Stand-up is not as good as it is fun to watch. He is not a particularly quick Muay Thai fighter, by example. And I say movie type because it's kickboxing with elbows and knees. That's in MMA, you can do whatever you want. Points of your body, including the elbows and the knees, so your stand-up turns into Muay Thai. He isn't as good as you think. He's just as tough as an old boot. He does not give a damn about getting. He's marching forward. He's coming at you. When he's going to hit you back. Repeatedly. Justin Gaethje's kicks are not as technically. If you brought Henry Hoof in, he'd be right here. And go judge Justin Gaethje's kicks. And by the way, compare that to, say, Edson. Henry Hoof is going to say something. There's no question. Edson Barboza's. The kicks are much better. But if you brought Henry Hoof in here and you said, tell me anybody per capita of the size that can do more damage with a. Then there's Justin Gaethje Henry, who's oh no, I was going to say. It's Justin Gates, as he says. It works. I only bring that to you because. Yes, you did put Oliveira down. So, will Oliveira be able to bring Gaethje down? I don't think so. I don't think you guys would agree with that. But again, I said I'm predicting Oliveira. How come? It's an accumulation game for sure. Oliveira has shown heart and grit. Oliveira is a new guy. On top of Oliveira, the world does have this momentum. He is outrighting the wrongs only enthralls him. Has no flaws. I've also never seen a better just like. I saw a more engaged Justin Gaethje the last time I saw him. And it appears that I should bring it to you. There must be something that makes Justin angry. He does the way he's speaking and the chip that he has on his shoulder. And the fact that he once held that championship and he doesn't anymore. I mean, this is a man on a mission. I don't think I've given Oliveira. I have, however, when I compare it to Justin. Why am I picking Oliveira? It just feels as though there is something to do with that dynamic capability of Oliveira. It does seem as though, if you were to talk about the entire body of work, which I do think Justin Gaethje, you've got a lot of talent. Historically, wrestling has been striking. Speaking, that's a better recipe than great striking with jiu-jitsu. That is the age-old question and people are going to fight back and forth. From there, if you wanted to go from on great striking with wrestling. Right at dawn, the frying approach, he has a lot more wins and a lot more championships than the great striking champions. Justin isn't very good at jiu-jitsu. I'm going to use wrestling. He's going to throw it out, guarantee. You go take him, and everything I just said. There's a minute left, get a couple. Of course, he's never done it. He's not. I'm going to do it in this one. I'm extremely confident in telling you that, if I had any level of confidence, I talked about getting inside knowledge. With Coach Whitman just by example, I was going to go take him down. You know, it's going to be justification. Would tell you to bet on everything, that you can get anybody to bet, but he's not. He's just going to bring those skills. Not Justin is extremely stubborn. So what's Oliveira going to do? And there is a big question on that. Takedown, guys, whoever gets the takedown, in whatever round they get it in. I thought I'd win the round. If Oliveira gets Gaethje down, Oliveira will. That will keep him at bay. Whether the horn goes off, that's what brings him to his feet or keeps him down long enough to steal the round. In the absence of anything else. Whatever happens. A takedown in a round will win the round. I'm telling you, Justin's not going to go, and Oliveira just might grab one. Oliveira's wrestling is not as good as Chandler's, but his transitions are pretty slick. He will surprise you. He will keep you. I guess, and Oliveira is not going to go through. There is a slew of things he will not go through. 8, 9, and 10 takedowns each way. Chandler himself or someone else. A wrestling background would. He's going to go for one. He's got very long arms, and when he decides to wrap those around your buttocks and your hips and suck you in, it's hard to deal with, and even if he only does. He's not one round, he's only one round. I need 3. It's interesting, guys. I'm staying with Oliveira. I am not going to make a compelling argument as to why. I'm not. I realize that I haven't. A little bit more dynamic. I do not worry about Oliveira as much. In the later rounds, there's always drama around Oliveira as it pertains to the way, and I know the scales beating him twice, and it might I have beaten him 3 times. However, I have the impression that that was an old young man. Charles. I feel like there's something brand new and fresh here. And if I'm going to talk about things John and Nick said, that's another. The point that John and Nick brought up. This is a kid. This is a man. My official prediction. For unknown to unspecified reasons, Charles Oliveira.